Good morning, everybody. We're going to jump right into today's schedule. Actually, we're going to start with number 2. We're going to approve the minutes from our last general meeting, which is January 13th. So, board, if anyone has any questions or additions, subtractions, seeing none, I'll take a motion to adopt.
So
Sari, second. JR, all in favor?
Aye.
Actually, kind of skipped. I usually don't have a lot of remarks to start the meeting. I do want to say a couple things today, though, because we have some huge news. A few things that we were able to make a lot of movement on. Number one is obviously new airline. We're all excited about that, and a lot of work went into this new airline, and a lot of teamwork went into this airline, and a couple of the main players that made it happen, besides our CEO, COO, and senior staff at the airport, was our partners at Avports. And I want to recognize both for a lot of hard work and dedication to getting yet another new airline into Albany Airport. So thank you very much, and we look forward to continuing that relationship. Also, I want to welcome Dennis Feeney's here from the County Ledge. And Dennis, if you want to introduce the chair of Mass Transit.
Susan Larillier.
morning. Morning.
And we appreciate you guys for being involved. So thank you. And also want to briefly recognize all of our workers at the airport. I know you're all represented here, and of course there'll be a lot of work to be done between now and June, when we expect our new new gate and new counter space and everything to be prepared for our new airline. So I know it's what all of you do every day, and we appreciate the work that you all do behind the scenes. So with that, you do the CEO's report?
Yes, I am, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so the CEO report, I'll pass it on to our COO.
Okay, this is, I'm going to say this is my guest appearance as CEO. We also have Peter Studo on the line. Would you like to say hello to the group, Peter?
Hello, but you're doing a great job, John. Thank you.
Okay, so what I like to do is start with, announcing that Breeze commenced service here at the airport. They're a new entrant with 4 weekly flights. Starting on June 5th, they'll have 2 flights to Raleigh-Durham, and this is going to be a one-stop onto Fort Myers. On June 13th, they're going to have a nonstop to Charleston, South Carolina. Once again, it's 2 flights. This is a new city for us. We're very pleased to have them join our 7. This will be our 8th airline here at the airport. We now have 7 airlines at this airport. They'll be flying the A220 aircraft, which is a newer aircraft. It's only about 2 years old. It has 137 seats. They also fly an Embraer 195. So those are the 2 aircraft that Breeze uses. The A220 is designed for comfort and efficiency, and it's also designed for medium haul flights, which suits this airport perfectly. But one of the things I like to mention is when you do get a new airline, it means that all the team, the entire team has to participate in one way or another, because we have to come up with a new counter. We have to have offices where Helen's going to be impacted. We have to put down new lines, lead-in lines, where John Leclerc is going to have to do a new safety envelope. And even the firefighters have to train on a new style aircraft, which we never had at this airport, that A220. So it's a participation where many groups have to come together, but we'll be well prepared in advance of their June coming. And maybe even John Leclerc will have a new jet bridge up in Concourse A. There is a strong possibility of that. But if they're understanding that we may not have that, we do have 2 gates available. We're looking at gate A3 and C1 as possibilities. I'll have to share with Allegiant and Velo, but on our preferential use gates, that's quite acceptable, and they'll welcome having those gates available to them. So another thing I'd like to mention is that Legion commences Sarasota, their inaugural flight on February 14th. That aircraft will fly on Fridays and Mondays. It brings Legion's departures for the week up to 16, 64 for the month, which is quite a number of flights from starting with just 4 not too long ago. And Steve Smith will do a celebratory event to kick off that February 14th start date for Legion. Moving along, the airport submitted 2 New York State grants. We're in the grant business big time lately. The 2 grants that we've proposed are we're going to have 3 preconditioned air units and also a cart and some baggage lifts, 2 baggage lifts. So that's 1 grant. The next grant is going to be for energy improvements. We could use additional heat in Concourse A. So we've got 2 heat pumps scheduled for Concourse. I'm sorry, my notes say Concourse A, I mean Concourse B. See that? And also many electric ductless splits. This is the new trend, is to go away from fossil fuels and go into electric. So we're hopeful that New York State may recognize warrant offering at least one of these grants. You're only entitled to 1, so we did put 2 in. One's for 1.3 million, one's for 900,000. So moving along, one of the things that here at the airport that we've always built over the last 25 years is our maintenance operation. So I thought I'd give the board a little opportunity to hear about the many different maintenance operations that we hear at this airport. So we have Piedmont Community Air, New York State Police, Lansing, the Warburg Factory, and Cape Air. And what we have here is, this is an effort that we started 25 years ago to bring in all these maintenance operations. And we have 165, right now, 165 certified mechanics on the airfield. And we also have the new school, the Hudson Valley Community College School, that's going to train and certify mechanics to feed these folks here. And I can tell you a little story about, going back a few years, that when you have Piedmont Community Air, you have these operators who utilize these employees. The employees tend to shift to whoever's paying the highest. And so when they do the shift, we would always get the call. And they, it was a negative call, by the way, because these people are in demand. These mechanics are in demand. So when there's opportunity to go from community air to Piedmont to Cape Air, we hear about that shift because they're saying we need more mechanics. This other organization is taking our mechanics, but now we have Hudson Valley, and hopefully that will fill in with those vacancies that these folks have. But we want to continue to build the maintenance operations throughout, in the coming years. And the good thing is, one is the jobs that I mentioned. It's a lot of high-paying jobs, but also on the rental income, Margaret gets to enjoy approximately $2.2 million of rent with buildings that, for the most part, we own free and clear at this time. So it is an income stream for us. But when the weather does improve, I want to take you around to the different maintenance operations to meet the people, meet the presidents and the organizations that have their presence here. We also want to build the maintenance operations throughout the airport. And let's see, lastly, what we're going to be doing over the next week is increasing preparations for the spring break. With the President's Week coming up, we get very, very busy. For example, typically Southwest Airlines has about 9 flights a day, 9, 10, 11 flights a day. They'll be going up to 17 flights a day. So that's quite an increase in the number of departing passengers and arriving passengers. Puts a strain on our entire operations, where folks like Dave Collins has to work a little harder, a little faster. We have to keep the runways clean, any snow event, because of additional traffic. But it puts it's a little more work for us during these holiday weeks. So we'll be prepared, and that begins next Saturday. So those are my introductory remarks. If anyone's have any questions, I'd gladly answer.
Thank you, John. Now, for your other hat, COO.
No, that, I covered both right there. Yeah. Helen's gonna talk about all the construction formulas.
Okay. CFO, Margaret.
Chair. I'm presenting to you today the December unaudited financial report. Next month, I will bring you the comprehensive annual financial report, which is the final for December. Be on that day. Should have a draft at the end of this month I could send out. Our monthly employments, we ended the year good, as I stated last month. We ended up over 1.5 million in passengers, fourth highest year ever. January, we're trending not quite as high as 2020, but our numbers up there. Next, FBO gallons, we're on track. We ended the year with 1.266 gallons. Next, operating revenue, again, trending very well over budget. Next, parking revenues, we're over budget all together, the whole. This year, we should see a tremendous increase with our parking revenue increase, which would be a very good addition. Rental car revenues, again, following the same track. Operating expense, a little uptick this month. We had some increase in accruals, close out the year. We ended up still under budget for the year. Operating net profit, airport FBO. Next. Again, your operating revenue, again, had a budget. Operating expense, close to budget. Line of credit draws. We have 2 draws outstanding, a December one and a January. Other thing to note, the line of credit renews automatically at the end of this month for an additional 2-year period. I have met with M&T. They did have some questions, of course, regarding that FAA freeze of funds, but I reassured them that we're good and this is set to renew for another 2 years. Kind of like what John had mentioned, this is in the financial report, but it shows each day of the week for this week. Now, the number of flights, you can see the Southwest increase next Saturday with the winter break. And you can see our variety of markets now. We have 26 markets. And that includes the Sarasota with Allegiant, does not include the new flights we'll see in June. So this may keep increasing. We have a weekly flight to Miami, to Myers.
Hey, Marty, hold on 1 second. Could you mute your phone?
It won't, then it won't hear us. Yeah, they're good.
One thing I also next want to mention is that Dallas Fort Worth did take a little hiatus for a while, but that's coming back at the end of this week. It shows a variety of markets. Status of the airline use agreement. We have a meeting for the airlines at the end of this month to discuss the red line version that they've sent off to the legal, see what comments they come back with. The next board meeting, I want to give you a presentation to purchase credits from a solar field for electricity savings. Will save us, they say the rebate would be about 10% a year. It's a savings of about $180,000 a year. So I'll have that presentation for you next month. And I think that's it. Yes, Tom.
Can you just give us the timing of the audit? So the regular audit?
The regular audit is done. The auditors were here for 2 weeks. I'm working on our last few adjustments. I have the airline rates and charges review to go over with the financial consultants tomorrow. And that'll be the last journal entry that I book. And I'm working on the report and then the rates and charges report. So that'll go.
Turn to schedule and approval, so.
It's next week. We have it rescheduled. Yeah, next week. Okay.
It'll be at the board in March. A draft copy that I'll be sending around probably at the end of this month, so you can see it. It'll be the same copy I give to the auditors. They come back. They just check all the numbers and everything ties. They don't ever come back with any major adjustments. I figure that's a good time to send around the draft. And we'll have No comments, chairman's message, inserted into the final, and I'll present. March 19th.
Questions for Mark? Right. Thank you, Margaret. John Leclerc, Project Development.
Thank you, Chairman. So the main terminal expansion, if you drove in, you saw the structural steel is basically complete. There's one section we can't complete. So later on, due to keeping the airport open and running. But in the meantime, they're working on mechanical, electrical, things for the new HVAC systems. They're getting ready to get the fans on and the rebar so they can pour the new slab over the road, which will be big. They're going to do that in sections. So that's something they're working toward. They're doing the concrete encased columns, and then they're also working in the lower B section for the children's play area, which Kathy Greenwood's been working with them for the art, and the sensory room, and the business center is under construction too. So things are moving along.
Concourse 8, it's still moving along pretty well. The major milestone to note would be that the steel work, welding, and the concrete work for the infill section by the escalator on the second floor, that is complete. So that concrete is curing. Next week, we continue to install HVAC and sprinklers on that second floor. Just want to note, later in the board meeting, there will be an action item for change order for Concourse A, and Bill and John's CEO/COO report with the boarding bridges. A1 and A2, or the new boarding bridges currently end of April, early May, they're supposed to be here. So that leads into the next, go hit the slide. The two new jet bridges that we're working on. Oh, not on there. Okay. Well, wait, so.
There you go.
Yeah, so these jet bridges, we have VRH is contracted directly with us. A6, the first one that's going to be in, that's supposed to be here late March, early April. They're also the install contractor for AOW on Concourse A. So it'll be A6, then it'll do A1, A2, and come back and finish B6 for us. So that's where we stand with that one.
The next one. No, great. Go ahead.
Oh, we can do this one.
Yeah, sure.
Building 79, moving well. We met with National Grid last week about scheduling, just powering on and off the new work. Last month, we brought to the board the easement that was approved. We have to go to the county to get the easement, National Grid easement approved this month. And March or April's board meeting, we'll be presenting National Grid's cost proposals with that project forward.
Okay, so runway 119, that project's moving forward. Callahan and their subcontractor DLC Electric were out on the runway about 3 weeks ago, taking measurements that they need to do. They're still on board to, as soon as the weather breaks, to go out and start removing the lights. And we're still maintaining the 17-day window. It'll be a 7-day shutdown, but because of weather, we can't predict exactly when it's going to happen. But the window starts the day after Memorial Day and goes 17th to June 12th. And anywhere in there, we'll pick a 7-day window, weather permitting, and Callahan's on board to get that done. In the meantime, we're working with the FAA to get the final grant funding we need to do the threshold bar while at the end of runway 1 while we have the runway shut down. The air traffic control towers, the HVAC and that, we're going to be closing that out probably next month. I see that being done. There's one item left to do, and that's final balancing of the system. All the parts are in. It's just with the weather, it's hard to balance it when you're trying to keep everybody warm because you have to take certain zones out of service in order to be able to balance. And they really don't want to be cold. They're kind of prima donnas. We'll leave it at that. Elevators 9, 10, 11 still on board for March for elevator 11. To start with that one, that's the one in C concourse. We'll work on that one first. Then elevator 9 will be next, and then elevator 10 will be the last one. Elevators 9 and 10 are in B concourse. 9 is the one by the children's play area that takes down to TSA. We'll do that one first. They're both 2-level elevators. Elevator 10 is a 3-level elevator because it goes up to the TSA Bart Johnson's office and stuff. So that'll be last for that one. But we're on schedule with that. The GA apron. we've been working with McFarland and Johnson. That we're looking to get a design that will beef up the pavement to handle any aircrafts we bring in, including putting a bigger concrete collection pad for the glycol. De-icing system, when they do de-icing in front of hangar one, we want to change that to a heavier pad that will funnel everything into the system better, and it'll be a concrete pad so we can park whatever we need to park there and beef up that. So we're working with McFarland Johnson. Well, we've seen the 60% drawings on that. We're moving forward with that one too.
On common ground, the build out's complete. The temporary walls have been removed.
I'll have
Signs
more.
are up and we're waiting on employees getting badged and an official date. Okay. So very near future.
We'll take any questions happily.
Any questions for John or Matt? All right, thanks, guys.
Keep going.
Council, Chris.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the board. Just very briefly, by way of an update, following up on what Matt mentioned, a request for legislative action has been sent to the county, and we look to appear on the Mass Transit Committee chaired by Legislator Aurelier at the end of this month, and then seeking approval of the full legislature for the transformers on March 10th, I believe. Is the next meeting. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions? All right, thank you, Chris. Concessions and ambassador program, Helen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The ambassador program got off to a good start. They volunteered 756 hours for the month of January with over 6,500 personal assists, and the K-9 program, of course, is very strong and very popular. On to concessions. There are 124 employees, with 73 of them being minorities, which gives us almost a 60% representation. Regarding the update on uncommon grounds that Matt referred to earlier, they've been conducting interviews at Stuyvesant Plaza, probably over 30 at the so far. I think about 7 have been hired and going through the badging process. There's updates happening internally. Of course, he mentioned the construction is done, the wall is down, but inside there's actually happening today, cleaning and getting everything straightened out. We're going to be scheduling, there's a couple of grease traps in there. We're going to be scheduling to get those cleaned ahead of time before they open. The other thing is finalizing any kind of sanitizing, soap dispensers and stuff so that we can get the health department in there. When they get in there, then we can get their certification, and then we can get our CO from the county, from Zach Geddes. We plan on a soft opening in early March. They're in the process also of acquiring a truck, because the bagels, this will be actually the only location where the bagels aren't being done on site, and they'll be coming from the Empire State Plaza location because they have the larger and double ovens there. So that location will service bagels. They'll be coming in every day, hot and fresh, around 3 in the morning. And because of the length of time that they're open, they're looking for about almost three shifts, and about a total of probably 25 people to keep that going, opening by 4 a.m. with coffee until the last departure, probably around 8 o'clock at night. And so I'm happy to answer any questions, and we're looking for a soft opening first week of March. And then I know that we'd like to schedule a grand opening with some media, and work with Pete, John, and Steve Smith regarding that. And thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, that was my question, is hours of operations. I'm really happy to hear that they're gonna have such extended hours, you know, I think that's really important.
Yeah, there's John.
Okay, Steve Smith is unable to be with us this morning, but he's going to do an inaugural celebratory event on February 14th. He's Agents Lake there, so that's one thing. Also, he's going to put out a word on social media and other methods to let the people know, let the passengers know that we're going to be very busy during the holiday week to get to the airport early. We'll be prepared with Katie, additional buses, making sure we have additional buses with high level of traffic that we'll be experiencing during that week. So, but Steve will get the message out and let everyone be aware to get here early, and that we will be very busy.
Questions for John? Moving right along, arts and culture, Kathy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a couple of things to follow up on today. Progress on this piece, which is called Treasure Map by Ruby Clover. We are looking at a March 4th installation for this piece, which will be located adjacent to Southwest ticketing counters on the end wall. So this is a couple of views in the artist studio of the piece. On the left is the top half, and on the right is the bottom half of the piece. Obviously, they come together in the final installation, but I just wanted to see how well this piece has come along. And so I'm going to work with our team here and with Southwest Airlines Repurpose Program on hopefully an event May 7th, which would acknowledge the 25th anniversary of Southwest Airlines service to Albany, and also to kind of unveil this piece publicly. So that, looking forward to that. Next slide. And then for the children's play area, this is progress coming along with Grace Lee Lawrence's large-scale suspended sculpture. I think a couple of months ago, I presented the sort of tree model that will be suspended, and so you can see these are just like the very end tips of that suspended structure, and you can see how colorful and vibrant they are. So the artist is in production phase now, and so these are just some samples in her studio of how this piece is starting to come along. And I'm working with our engineering department and the installation team to push this piece forward. So I'm very, very excited to see it coming into life.
Kathy, I just want to add, I had the opportunity to meet with the artist and the team, and it's beautiful but very deceiving. And when you see the renderings, the artist shared with us sort of what the whole thing will look like, it's quite spectacular. And it's hard to imagine, having seen it, to look at this. People might look at it and say, well, what is that? But when you see it, I think you will all be very pleasantly surprised how wonderful it's going to be and how vibrant. It's really gonna be great.
These are the pieces obviously inverted, sitting on the floor, but they will be, they're just the very ends of the piece kind of upside down. So, and I should also mention that both Ruby Palmer, who is the artist working on the treasure map piece, and Grace Lee Lawrence are just very coincidentally showing together in a beautiful exhibition in Hudson through the end of March. If anybody happens to find themselves in Hudson, there's a lovely gallery called Turley Gallery on Warren Street, and they just happen to be in an exhibition there together, and it's a beautiful show. It just opened over the weekend. So if anybody would like to see their work in person, I encourage them to take a little drive down Hudson. And that's all for me. I'll take any questions.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you. Move right into action items 10.1. Margaret?
Thank you. Authorization is requested to purchase 2 additional passenger shuttle buses, replacing 2 more of our fleet that are over 8 years old, 170,000 miles. We went with Matthews buses, piggybacking off of the Connecticut Department of Administrative Services contract, similar to like a New York State contract. They can provide the buses in 120 days. The New York State contract is over a year. The last 4 buses we bought on New York State contract, we came to the board in October of 2023. I think they're being delivered this week.
You came this morning.
2 came today, so we really need to get these buses in a timely fashion. This will give us a fleet of 6 brand new buses. So authorization is requested to buy 2 more buses.
Motion, Tom. Second, Sari. All in favor?
Oh,
Okay, thanks. 10.2, Margaret.
Thank you. Item 10.2 is for procurement of gasoline off of New York State contract. We come to you, every year or so with gasoline and work made to fuel fuels servicing Albany County office, New York State.
Okay, any questions? Motion? Sari, second. Tom, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And 10.3.
Again, request is made to approve the lease of 2 additional fuel trucks, similar to the shuttle buses. Fuel trucks are age of 15 years. We got 4 new buses, 4 new trucks a couple years ago. This is to supplement the rest of the fleet with newer trucks, same manufacturer, Ramp Master, so the vehicle maintenance will be custom to the maintenance on these trucks. Request is made to approve purchase of 2 more fuel trucks.
Okay, questions? Motion? Tom? JR, all in favor?
Aye.
10.4. Margaret.
Thank you. Request is authorized to purchase 4 portable light towers. The light towers that we have are out of service. We're using a company to rent the units that we need. So we just would like to go out and buy 4 more. So we have them for construction, parking, anywhere we need additional light, runway, whatever work we need to do.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
JR, second. Sari, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 10.5, Helen.
This is, the airlines no longer accept cash, and so Ready Credit is a company that accepts up to $1,000. You can put cash in the machine and get a Visa card out. And so we have 2 machines, one for redundancy just in case, and looking for your approval on this to help service our airlines.
Okay. Any questions for Helen, 10.5? I'll make a motion. Sari, second.
I'll second.
JR, all in favor?
Aye.
10.6, Chris.
Thank you, Chairman. This is a request that the board has seen before for a 3-year contract extension for our information, our info desk, which is staffed by the Albany County Convention and Visitors Bureau, DVA, Discover Albany. They've been with the airport for quite some time. They do a great job. They're a great ambassador to the airport and providing the traveling public with information on tourism opportunities and just any of the questions that come up. So you'll see there's an incremental increase over last year with roughly $8,000. The budget's gone up to $141,533 for the first year. And there's an opportunity for both parties to mutually agree on a 2% increase, depending on what type of cost impacts are experienced by the Visitors Bureau in the next 2 years. So we're looking for your I'll take any questions.
Appreciate the breakdown. So breakdown hours.
Yes. Yep.
All right, question. Would it be possible, I think it would be helpful to have him come sometime and just kind of give us a briefing.
Absolutely.
Like the program and like the goals that they're trying to accomplish.
Yep.
I mean, they do a great job.
Yeah, I think Jill might have come in maybe 3 years ago. It's probably a good idea for her to come back in.
I think it'd be good to have one of them just give us an update, talk through maybe some of the challenges that they've had with, the construction and stuff like that. But I think it'd be good to have that.
Sure.
No rush in that. Just,
Set it up.
thank you.
Six. Favor?
Aye.
Okay, on to 10.7, Chris.
Chairman. So this is a request for amendment number 2 for the airport management services agreement between the authority and Avports. You'll recall in October of last year, amendment number 1 was approved, and that was for a brief period of time, 9 months extension to the contract to be able to negotiate some needed modifications to the management contract. And both parties actually really pulled together and got this done in I think a really short period of time. What you have in front of you is a request for amendment number 2 to the agreement, which includes a modified renewal term, which changes it from 2 5-year options to 1 10-year option. A key piece of that is the corresponding consideration, which is a termination for convenience option. In addition, an important aspect is termination assistance. And what the parties really, and I know the board really wanted to see, was what's called a performance management framework, which sets out certain key performance indicators so that the parties understand what, the Avports understands what the authority is looking for, and they can adjust based on how those indicators come up. And finally, Schedule B, which everyone has in front of them, which is the cost framework, the yearly management fee, has been modified and amended to reflect a fixed annual increase of 3% rather than an annual increase based on CPI, which makes sense for both parties. It's more predictable, better for budgeting, and it's consistent with what the authority does with other agreements. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Again, appreciate the breakdown and extra information. So, Tom?
Yep, I just make a comment. So thank you, Chris, for laying it out for us, and Sam for your introduction. Myself, Janet, Steve Hunter, along with me, Chris, involved in negotiating this agreement with the team from Avports. And just can't say enough about, we didn't expect it to come together this quick. We hoped it would, but it really coalesced really quickly. And we appreciate your guys' willingness to work with us. And we're happy to, get you guys aligned with what your goals are, other airports that you manage nationally. There's some very clear, KPIs that we're going to be reviewing. We have, quarterly communications, annual reviews. So I think it includes all the things that all of us want. So it really was, it came together quickly, and I think it's good for your team. I think the management staff that you're putting in place here, this is a good signal for them that we're committed, right? Keep performing, right? We're committed. We perform for ourselves, and this CEO today, thank you for coming here, being here so much, with us, every day on this thing. Andrew, Artur, the whole group. So it was a very good, a good experience. This is big, it's big news. It's a 10-year agreement, and something that we should be proud of, and it really signifies a long-term partnership. Sam said up front, we know, you helped us get Breeze home. We love that, and we wanted to use your expertise that you have at other airports. How do we make Albany ALB best in class? For who we are, for the size of airport we are. You're gonna help us with that. So we're excited for this new day of collaboration. So I just wouldn't want to not say it. And Janet, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Chief Ryder's not here today. It was a really good experience. Thank you. And I make a motion if you want to go, if you want to. Oh, you can go ahead.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, no, you do. Go ahead.
Make the motion to approve.
Motion by Janet, second by Tom. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Okay. Thank you. 11.1, Matt.
Mr. Chair, only because of my familiarity with Jeff Bridges, I'll do this one. This is actually a change order for additional work in contract number 1127 GC, which is the Concourse A rehabilitation with AOW. During the construction and when they opened the walls to the existing building, the framework was found to be different, and the foundations had to be relocated a little further away. So that included some additional engineering and then refab of the two static pieces that come off the building to the rotunda. So they won't bounce. There's additional reinforcement. There's two bridges, so it's $80,789 for two. So it's basically $40,000 a piece to redo these and reset the structure so that when you get on a plane, they'll be rigid. They won't bounce. People don't like them when they bounce. So that's yeah, so that had to be re-engineered, and believe it or not, 2 feet makes a huge difference. They had to put a whole different structural piece underneath to make this more rigid. So I'm looking for the board's award of that, and I'll happily take any questions.
And I see the airport send is 15%.
Correct.
Any questions for John? Okay, JR, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 11.2.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, 11.2 is actually 2 change orders. There's been, one was a small one, change order number 1 is to contract number 21-1082-INTSTR, that's a mouthful, to MLB Construction. Change order number 1 is $37,371, and what that was for the additional sprinkler and fire alarm systems that needed to be put into the tunnels that you walk through as you walk past the bathroom. When we did that, if you recall, when we did the queuing platform, we had the same issue with the needing the sprinklers and stuff. This is quite a bit cheaper, but it's a lot smaller area. But it's the same principle that they needed to protect our passengers. You had to have the fire alarms and the sprinkler systems in that tunnel that goes by the bathroom, by the baggage claim, to keep people safe. So that's change order number 1. Change order number 2 is $169,821, and that is for adding additional conduits, rerouting electrical systems which were found in the original pedestrian bridge removal. Now, as they go forward with the new steel erection, they're rerouting the conduits and hanging it underneath the steel. They're doing that. They also had to add for the fire alarm system. Sorry, JR, fire alarm system. It's an addition to it, though. What we put in is fine, and we're just adding to it to keep this all tied in the way it should be, and then we have that permanently rerouted, so we won't have to do that. And then the last one is for the roof cornice, as you come in, you can see that roof tips up in the corner by the building. Right in that corner, there was a detail that just couldn't be built the way they had it with the insulation and the way the cornice. So they changed the configuration of that so we could build it and make it insulated. So one, the roof wouldn't leak, and 2, we'd have the insulation. We wouldn't lose heat through that top of that roof. So I'm looking for the board's approval for both of those change orders, and I'll happily take.
Covered by state. Any questions for John? Motion approved. Sari,
Second.
Janet. All in favor?
Aye.
Finally, 12.1, Matt.
Chairman, I'm actually gonna take that one, just so.
Okay.
So, so this actually came before the board in August of 2024. However, the issue at the time was that it was approved by the board for the $10.6 million of federal funding. That was the total grant award for Concourse A. The bids came in over that, right, slightly. It was 11, yeah. So New York State DOT has a portion of that, which is 5%. And the authority also has a portion of that, which is 5%, which you see reflected here. So in order for us to accept the New York State Department of Transportation funding, they need to see that the board has been clearly informed of the fact that New York State is giving us a sum of money, which is $278,000, a little over $278,000. And our corresponding portion matches that, which is $278,000. So we're just really correcting a prior board item, so that we can accept those funds. And I hope that was communicated clearly. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. That's right, yep.
Yep, I'll take a motion. Barry, JR, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving right along. 14, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What we're asking today for is authorization to approve an air service incentive program for 2023 and 2024. In addition, we're asking to approve the program for 2025. Currently, under the 2023, we are expending dollars, airport funds, to provide incentives for American and Novello. And this has been ongoing. So what we're doing is, by you approving this ASIP, it'll make our records correct for the work that was done, or the expenditure of dollars that was done previously. The new 2025 is very similar to the prior one. What it does do, it takes out some targeted services, targeted cities that we currently fly to. So there's a reduction in targeted cities. In addition, it does add a provision that the FAA added to their regulations, FAA regulations. And what that does, it states that you can define a new city, an underserved city can be defined as a new city, so you can provide an incentive to that underserved city. And just to let you know that we follow the federal regulations very strictly with the ASIPs here. And ours looks very similar to many, many other airports. So we're following federal regulations. So when you do look at it, they're very similar from airport to airport. So what we do there is we have incentives provided right now for targeted cities. And we don't have many new targeted cities. We may do a new ASIP going forward, maybe in 6 months or 9 months, and amend the 2025 program. But right now, all we did was we took out the cities that we currently serve. And it does include such cities as Phoenix, LAX, maybe even Nashville, and a few other cities. But the point is here, what I'd like to do is just get your authorization so we can expend funds going forward. And there's an application process that new entrants have to follow. And so Breeze will have to submit an application to the authority, and we will, in all likelihood, approve it in some form or fashion for the new flight, the new city, and the underserved city. That would be Charleston and Durham. So with that, this is just the program that's going forward. We're not approving Breeze yet, but this is only approving the program so which we can offer these incentives in the year 2025 going forward. Is that clear?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because it is a little complicated, and we do actually have to study it because there's very subtle nuances with the federal regulations, but we're confident that we've done it correctly, and it's something that we're recommending you approve this time.
So we're covering what should have been done in the
Yeah,
past.
yes.
And correcting it
Right.
for the future.
Yes, because we are expending dollars for that 2020, 23, 24 right now for American and Novello. They were deemed eligible, and we are expending funds, and you can see it in our year-end statement. If you're interested in looking at that, and it's in the budget, in this document right here, I think.
Well, monthly it is.
Monthly it is.
So we do the end of year financials, that'll get total in there too.
Yeah, and you can, in that regard, just for information, you cannot use airline revenue. You have to use non-airline revenue. you can see it, it's the, one of the bottom lines of our statement whereby we have our total net revenues and we divide it into 50% to the airlines and revenue sharing, 50% to us for our development fund. We have to take the incentive money out of our development fund. You cannot take it out of the airline fund. For obvious reasons, the current airlines don't want to pay for incentive. Yeah. So it's a pretty standard statement in the airline use agreement.
And one of the other things too that we need authorization for is forbidding us to reimburse the airlines for the marketing fees that they have. Sometimes they'll go over 50,000 because they do a lot of marketing with billboards and radio and things like that. So instead of us bringing those marketing expenses to you every time they go over 50, but just like authorization to keep it within the limits that are in the ASIP, whether it's 250 for the route or 100,000.
Target cities, dollars for 2 years. New entrants are offered $100,000 for New Year, but $100,000 for 2 consecutive years. If it's an underserved city, according to FAA regs, you're only allowed to offer 1 year. Major changes effective in the 2025 ASIP.
John, thanks for bringing this to us formally. These incentive agreements have always been approved by the board. You know, that's been the history here. You know, these are expenditures that far exceed $50,000. So I'm okay with going back in time and approving these. But the question is, why didn't they come here? And I understand that attracting airlines is complex. Contracts are complex. You know, I had made overtures and asked specifically to be briefed, even executive session on a quarterly basis, about things like this. So, you know, it's something that hopefully we put this on a record today. This is a major public policy issue, and it's a direct. Our procurement policy couldn't be clearer. It's so black and white. The table in the back, the last appendix A, it's super clear. You know, the board should have been involved, or it should have been updated on this. And just like we're being updated now with the airline that we're currently announcing, and obviously it's disappointing that, you know, that this comes out in this fashion. You know, it's something that, you know, it just shouldn't be this way. And it's not going to be this way going forward. So I don't want to make it belabor it, but I think it's important for us to talk about it because, you know, this is the kind of stuff that, you know, we all can easily work together, you know, and this is something that we have executive sessions so that if there's contractual issues for us to discuss and understand, it's understanding at the end of the day, this is public money that's being spent. And it's the same at airlines all around the country, you know, but it's like any public incentive. It's any public authority that has an incentive agreement. Right? The boards of the authorities have to authorize them. So not staff. Right. So I'll leave it at that. I'm sure there's more to be said coming up on this. So, but thank you.
Questions for John? Okay, if not, I'll take a motion to approve. Janet, second. Sari, all in favor?
Aye.
Any old business, new business? All right, this time, I'd like to close, we want executive session to entertain or to address a matter involving a particular corporation.
Second.
Aye. Brief bathroom break. Yeah.